Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Venus in Scorpio, and for me this is a very personal placement to talk about because I have this placement, and for me it's quite a domineering side of my personality and has been an important part of my chart to truly pick apart and understand myself better. And I'm sure for many of you Venus in Scorpios out there, you feel the exact same way. But to truly understand this placement, we're going to go through a whole lot in this video. But to start off, you need to have a good understanding of what Venus is all about and what Scorpio is all about. So Venus, this is the planet of lust and beauty, peace and harmony. It's how we relate to people. It's also a relationship indicator, and it's also a money indicator. Now Scorpio, this is the most intense sign out of all 12 in the zodiac. It is deep, it is complex, it is complicated. There's a lot to unpick with this sign. There are so many layers that exist. Things get quite serious when we reach the 8th house in our birth chart, because of course Scorpio sits up in the 8th house, and this is the house of death and rebirth, of crisis, of transformation, of taboo topics, of the occult, all things hidden that people don't like to talk about and things that are not necessarily in the light. This is all governed by the 8th house, along with debts, inheritances and other people's money, because it's the opposite to the 2nd house. It's all about other people's finances and resources and what you share with other people. Now, house placements do matter here. They are important, guys. What house is your Venus sitting in and how is it aspected? Because, of course, a Venus conjunct Jupiter is going to tell a very different story to a Venus square Saturn, for example. And especially, let's say, if you've got your Venus in the 12th house, slightly different story there. But if you are a Venus in Scorpio, you're going to be one of 5 sun signs. You're either going to be a Virgo sun, a Libra sun, a Scorpio sun, a Sagittarius sun, or a Capricorn sun. So there, the introduction's over. Let's get into it. Let's start off and look at values. What is somebody with Venus and Scorpio going to value in this lifetime? Depth, full stop. This is a water Venus that we're talking about here, and Scorpio is a very deep sign, so we require and value being able to be deep in ourselves as people. We feel emotions deeply, and we also appreciate depth from other people. We appreciate passionate intensity. We are talking about Scorpio. This is a very intense sign. This is also a Mars ruled Venus sign. Mars is all about passion, red hot passion. So passionate intensity is something that we like. We also value being able to go to the extremes, or just having an understanding of extreme situations happening in life, because our Venus sign is connected literally to extremes, and it could even be down to extreme overindulgence or extreme pleasure. But you're going to hear me use words like extreme and intense a lot throughout the video, but that's what this Venus sign is all about. It's quite extreme in general. We are able to find beauty in things that might not seem so wonderful or beautiful to people on the outside, or we're able to find pleasure within pain. We value being able to do that. We value being able to uncover what's hidden, things that are not in the light, things that are kept in the dark, secret, taboo topics, occult knowledge, magic, astrology. We love all that 8th house stuff. We love it. Getting to the truth of something, the truth. The truth in this placement is so important. We need to know the truth. We need to understand the truth. We detest any sort of deception whatsoever. We value our instincts. We value being able to just be in tune and receptive and understand what other people are saying without listening to the words they're saying, but watching, feeling their energy, watching their mannerisms, just generally studying people. We like to go to, again, the depths of something. Vulnerability. Now, this is obviously a sign that's a Venus sign that's quite tough, but of course with it being a water Venus sign and Scorpio, there is a level of sensitivity that comes with it, and secret sensitivity here, and vulnerability. We know we can be extremely vulnerable, and we value being able to be vulnerable, but it's only a special person that's ever going to get that vulnerability out of us. We really do value loyalty. This is super key with this sign. We are extremely loyal people, and we expect nothing but 100% loyalty back. As I said, detest any type of deception, any type of betrayal. It's not our love language. Our love language is absolute trust. I need to have my back, even when my back is nowhere near you, even when my back is turned. I need you to have my back in every way, mentally, emotionally, physically. We need to just be as one together, because trust is another thing that comes into play here. Trust is super key. This is not the most trusting Venus sign by all means in terms of relationships. There's issues around jealousy and obsession and possession that come up that we'll talk about later on in the video, but trust is so important here to build. One of the things we value in this lifetime is being able to trust somebody, because it is not something that comes easily. And last but not least, we enjoy exclusivity and the joy of being able to be selective, where you should be quite sure by now that our energy is not for everybody, because it is so intense. So we enjoy the ability to be quite picky and fussy about who we actually let around us and who we actually let through those doors and anywhere near our heart. Exclusivity and just being selective, that is something that we value in this life. Let's look now at relationships, because this is an important thing to look at. It's an important aspect to break down and focus in on with this placement, because when it comes to relationships, it's quite a complex world for us, because we don't do anything by halves. This is an all or nothing Venus. Once a Venus in Scorpio commits to someone, they know they're committed, they're in it for the long haul, they're going to be there through thick, through thin. They're there for the good times and the bad, and in relationships can literally go to the depths of extremes and back, and we need to be with somebody who is able to handle that. But this is definitely a ride or die Venus sign, as some of the things we spoke about with the values. We really, really value trust and loyalty and commitment. These are key things for us in a relationship. Now, transformation is going to be a huge part of things we experience in relationships. Relationships will change a Venus in Scorpio person, or you might be the people that change your significant other when in a relationship, because the 8th house is about transformation. It's also about the psychology of things as well. So you might go through deep psychological changes when you're in a relationship, but just know that relationships are here to change you, to help you evolve, to help you morph, to help you grow in some way. And we'll talk about it a little bit later in the video, but this is a sign that can struggle sometimes to let go of a situation. But one of the things we are here to face as a part of having this placement is transformative relationships. Self-awareness is really key with this placement, because the manifestations of this placement can be very extreme and a bit chaotic sometimes. So it depends what stage you're at, whether you're at the Scorpionic stage, the Eagle stage, or the Phoenix stage, wherever you're at psychologically in your evolvement, because we have to be aware of what our trigger points are, Mars, that are triggering us to hold on to things that are destroying us on the inside or destroying our relationships, Pluto, and learn what we need to do to evolve and change, and especially change psychologically, Scorpio. That's what it's all about. That's what this placement is. Why I said it might be a really domineering part of your chart. Self-awareness is so key with this sign. Now, themes that you might have encountered in your relationships do surround quite serious topics such as control, obsession, jealousy, sex, intensity, trauma, chaos, destruction. Just very intense themes that might come up for you guys regularly in relationships. And the 8th house is an important and interesting house to look at in anybody's birth chart, because the 8th house is what's really going on deep down. 7th house, ruled by Libra, is the superficial appearance of a relationship. When we get to the 8th house, this is the depths and core of what's really going on. So guys, what's going on in your 8th house? What planets do you have sitting in there? What sign is ruling that house? Where is the ruling planet of the sign in your 8th house? All those things give you a really good bigger picture idea of how to really delve deep into that house. And this placement, I guess, I want to address a topic here, because I do think that a lot of the traits I've just spoken about, or the themes that you might encounter in your relationships, are what would be labelled by the general non-astrology public as toxic. Now, for those of us lucky enough to have learned astrology, to have understand ourselves and other people's energies through astrology, should by now have an understanding that Scorpio is a sign where serious topics do come up, and serious themes: control, jealousy, obsession, possession, intensity. All these things can come up, and a lot of people would call that toxic behavior. Now, we know through astrology, as I just said, that it's not what the general public would say that it's toxic. It's just how certain elements of this archetype can play out and manifest in that way, and display toxic traits. But I just wanted to say, for the Venus and Scorpio archetypes out there that may have been told you're toxic at some point in your life, it's probably just more so that you've been around people that potentially are just not geared up for the intensity and passion and extremes of this sign in a one-on-one relationship. They're not speaking the same love language as you. It might be someone who doesn't understand jealousy. Let's say you're with an earth sign Venus. Jealousy is not on their priority list of things that are important in a relationship, for example. So it's important for us to be around people that have an understanding of this sign. Now, of course, things can get out of control if you're not at a level of self-awareness to control the outbursts that can come. Now, it does very much depend on your sun sign with how this plays out, because, well, your whole chart obviously, but things like the sun sign are an important starting point of making the differentiations in the way people may express their Venus sign. And I will do a breakdown of the sun sign Venus sign combinations at the end of the video. Check the timestamps. But yeah, I just wanted to address that topic of being toxic. I just think it's more so that there's a lack of understanding. I just wish everyone in the world knew about Scorpio archetypes and what that can mean and how their traits can play out. As I said, you may have learned by now that your energy might not be everybody's cup of tea because it is so intense. So when it comes to dating, we don't do light-hearted dating. It's very serious. That whole world of even letting someone anywhere near us is very, very serious. So when it comes to dating somebody, or when it comes to getting to know somebody, we need to know everything. And I'm talking about everything. I want to go back 30 years. What happened when you were 5? What was your childhood traumas? What went on? I need to know the depths of any pain that you've had, of any trauma that you've been through. I need to just try and build up a bigger picture, because the 8th house, as we said, is what's really going on. So when we're getting to know someone, we like to really know what's going on and what they've been through. And obviously for some people it's a bit much, like, I don't want to tell you all my life trauma, but we're like, tell me all your life trauma. What's the worst thing that you've ever done? Like, we just want to know that kind of stuff. Because of course, when it comes to dating and just love in general, this is a Venus sign that moves with caution. Although that the feelings that you get when there is somebody of interest might be very overpowering and very overwhelming, but we move with caution, we move with intent. This is not a silly Venus sign. We move with intent, we move with purpose. One thing to know if you're trying to get to know somebody with this placement is that they are not going to reveal everything to you up front, even though they're going to expect you to reveal everything up front to them. Doesn't work the other way around. They like to hold a level of privacy. This is a very private Venus sign that we're talking about. This is the 8th house. They have a huge value in their privacy and their vulnerabilities, because they know that once you expose your vulnerabilities to someone, it can be used against you like a weapon. This is a water Venus. We feel things deeply. How we express things, of course, plays out differently depending on, as I said, things like the sun sign. The moon sign is also very important to consider. For an example, I'm an Aquarius moon, so although I have intense, deep feelings that can hit me hard, having this placement, being an Aquarius moon can also give me a highly aloof nature to highly emotional events. My reactions can be pretty unpredictable. Like, you can't say how I'm going to be every time, and it's Aquarius moon, so take your moon sign into consideration as well, guys, because that's your day-to-day self and day-to-day state and how you react. But it takes us a while to warm up to things, basically, for us to thaw out. We're talking about the fixed water sign here, so there is a level of like an ice barrier, basically, an unpenetrable barrier that exists until we feel we can start to let our guard down with you. But if you're trying to get to know this person and you expect them to reveal all or be really upfront with you, it's not going to happen. This is not the sign. This is a sign that you need to give them patience. You need to give them patience and time. Let them work you out, because they watch, they analyze, they learn, they try and get a feel for someone. They pick up on the feelings. A lot of what we do in a relationship is based on how we feel. You've probably found in your lifetime that people trust you with their secrets. People just pick up that vibe that you can be trusted. One of the things we value is secrets, don't we? We value secrets, trust, loyalty. We understand the importance when someone's actually being honest and vulnerable to hold their honour of whatever that topic may be. And we are on a mission in this lifetime to find people who we can surround ourselves, that we can trust enough with our burdens and with our secrets. Now, let's talk about some of the things. Let's talk about some of the types of people that you guys might attract, because you're going to attract some very interesting characters with this placement. It's a very magnetic placement. This isn't a sign that struggles with attracting people because it's the Scorpio energy. But depending on your aspects, this is where aspects really do matter. For example, if you've got aspects to Pluto, like myself, anyone with the Pluto Scorpio generation, if you've got your Venus in the sign as well, your Pluto Scorpio, check the degree. Is it conjunct or not? Because again, aspects matter. But you may attract people that are secretive, controlling, jealous, paranoid, somebody who just wants to put everything into you, a very passionate person, a mysterious person, someone that might have been through a lot of trauma and had a lot of pain. This is a Venus sign that deals with, directly connected with trauma, chaos. So may attract people that have been through really deep, complex things, and when people are in quite a transformative state in their own life is when they might come into our life, for example. And those things all work on the reverse. You might be that type of person in a relationship, and you're attracted to somebody, you might turn into a jealous, possessive control freak. Venus is how we relate to people, and Venus in Scorpio, it's very important that we look at how we relate to people with this placement. So we relate through depth and intensity. We are looking for someone that can really go to the depths and the extremes, literally to hell and back with us, and still be there. We relate through trauma and chaos. Traumatic, chaotic situations is something that our Venus sign just connects with. We're like, a bit of drama. Ooh. Mars loves drama, same as Venus, Aries people. It's the other Mars ruled Venus sign. We love a bit of drama. We just connect. Emotional crises. When someone's having an emotional crisis, that ignites our emotion within our deep waters, and we can connect with somebody through their emotional bonds. Basically, when somebody is really revealing their true emotions and their true feelings, and when people are really letting out their demons in a way, that's when it's like something clicks and we're like, oh, a connection just forms, because we feel like we have a better understanding of that person. We relate through life bonds. With Scorpio, it's to the death. A lot of things can be to the death. So when we start something, it's with the intent for it to be for life. And we also rely on our spidey senses. We relate through our intuition. There's a lot of times when we're talking to people and our brain's just ticking and thinking, and we are analysing people, and sometimes before they've even opened their mouth to speak, our intuition can pick up something, can just sense something from that person's aura, whether they're a good person, whether they're a bad person, is just something we can sense, and we rely on that in when we relate to people. And just some of those reasons there are why Venus is in detriment in the sign of Scorpio. It's in detriment here, and that's because it's sitting in the opposite sign to where it rules and where it's at home, which is Taurus. So when Venus is in Scorpio, it's the furthest away from where it likes to be. And it's kind of just, think about it like it's in unfamiliar territory, not quite comfortable there. Let's just think about it for a minute. What's Venus about and what's Scorpio about? There's no commonality. It doesn't make sense in a way. Because Venus is about peace, harmony, calm, balance. Scorpio is about chaos. Venus just wants to keep things light and enjoy herself and overindulge, whereas Scorpio wants to go to the absolute extremes of things. Venus is quite superficial and Scorpio is anything but superficial. Relationships, what Venus represents, relationships are not meant to go to the extreme core depths of things. Venus doesn't want to get to the core depth of everything. Venus doesn't want to pick apart and analyse absolutely everything about somebody, and they're just some of the reason why it falls in this sign, why it's in its detriment. But it's not something that should worry you too much, guys. We live with this placement. I have this placement. I have relationships. It doesn't mean you're never going to have a relationship and you're never going to be able to work and you're never going to be able to enjoy yourself. It's just that it is quite a serious placement, and we just do need to be aware of things. Self-awareness, as I keep saying with this sign, is key. Now, let's break down the basic ingredients that make up this entire Venus sign. I probably should have done this way earlier, but we're doing it now. This is a fixed Venus sign, so the fixed Venus signs are very, very strong in general, because we're talking about a Venus sign that has endurance and real staying power. Fixed can't easily be moved. It's not easily changed. Can dig its heels in. Can give anyone with a fixed Venus sign stubborn qualities as well. Like once their mind's made up, it's made up. And we are talking about a water Venus here. This is fixed water. We can be fixed in our emotions, fixed in the way that we feel. But a fixed Venus sign also is one of the key things behind the loyalty and the value that we have in loyalty with this placement, because we are fiercely loyal people. We'll protect anyone that we love. We'll fight to the death for somebody that we love. Again, one of the reasons why Venus might be in detriment in this sign, you're not meant to fight to the death for love. But that's our world. This is also a water Venus that we're talking about here. So we're talking about emotions and feelings and connecting through emotions, really, and making emotional bonds in this lifetime. And there's a level of vulnerability that comes with a water Venus sign. But this is what the water element is also behind the intuitive powers and gifts that come with this sign. Just reading between the lines, as I keep saying. We read things that people are not saying. We are picking up things that they're not saying. We can just feel it. This is also a feminine Venus sign. This is a female Venus sign. So it's a receptive energy because it's feminine, more introverted. So you have got an introverted side to you, especially for the Virgo suns, the Scorpio suns, the Capricorn suns, because they're female sun signs. They're also going to be feminine in the expression. For the Sagittarius suns, for the Libra suns, maybe not so much. You have got the extroverted side, your personality, but this will give you an introverted side to your personality. Let's focus now on the topics of jealousy, obsession and control. And for this part of the video, I want to just speak directly from my view on this, literally how I am with these topics, because I am Venus in Scorpio. I'm not about to tell you absolutely everything now, am I? But I would like to give my view on this, because for me, this is a very real part of my relationships. It's significant. So jealousy. Also, disclaimer, my Venus is conjunct Pluto, so of course it's just amplifying and intensifying absolutely everything to do with these traits anyway. Anyone else with the same placement, you're going to feel what I'm saying. So the jealousy aspect, jealousy is real for me, and I find it one of the hardest things with this placement, because the feeling of being jealous isn't a nice feeling, but I can get very jealous in a relationship. It has caused issues, many an issue in the past, my jealousy issues. Obsession part that comes with it. When I like somebody, I am all I am completely devoted, completely in love, completely obsessed by that person. Love can absolutely consume me. Again, some of the reasons why Venus is fallen here in its detriment here, because relationships shouldn't consume us, should it, like that? The jealousy aspect comes from, we live in 2023. You know, when I see old people, slight tangent here, incoming, but when I see old people, you know, the ones that have definitely been together like 40 years, I look at them and my heart's just like, I just love that. Just that beauty, or the stuff they would have been through as an older couple, the things they would have seen with their children, their friends, just the life experience. It's just amazing. But in 2023, social media exists. It didn't exist with our grandparents' generation, did it? Which is why I feel they had much more peaceful relationships, because things like social media weren't around. There wasn't that temptation flaunted in everybody's face. So the jealousy also comes from the fact that we're just not stupid. In 2023, it's easy for people to cheat out here. And as a Venus in Scorpio, it's unacceptable. That is blast for me. Like, don't betray somebody with this sign. Like, guys, sorry, I'm probably projecting a little bit here, but I'm going to continue to project. Last topic of my projection. Controlling element. There is a need for me in a relationship to have a level of control over my partner. In exchange for that, I do allow a level of control back to myself also. But what's so important, I need to feel like they are mine, and I need to know they can't be taken. As I've said, they need to have my back, even when my back is nowhere near them. They need to have my back through and through. Somebody could be offering themselves on a plate to them, and I need them to say no. In that very tempting situation, you need to say no. Okay. Now, I touched upon the topic earlier about not leaving, and this is a sign that does struggle to leave relationships. Similar to Venus in Taurus, the opposite signs of this placement, Venus in Taurus, struggle to leave people. So do Venus in Scorpio. Part of that is to do with the fact that it is a fixed Venus, so it is about the long haul and endurance and sticking things out to the end, but it's also because once a sign commits, they commit, and it's to the death, it's to the end. And in this lifetime, one of the lessons for Venus and Scorpio archetypes is to be able to control your emotions and master your emotions. Scorpio is about control, and it's a water sign. Control the emotions and become and be working towards always, or remaining at the stage of being a phoenix, where you learn to let relationships go, let them die so a new one can be reborn. Don't be scared of what's going to happen if a relationship comes to an end. Don't hold on to something to the absolute depths and life has been squeezed out of it. We have to be able to learn to let go and evolve and change in every single way. But if a Venus in Scorpio archetype does decide that enough is enough in a relationship, is to be no more, then you better trust and believe that you will never have access to their warmth again. If someone with this placement has decided they are done, you will be met with that ice thick barrier. Will just be it doesn't matter what you try and do to ever penetrate that barrier. You can send a fire breathing dragon spewing fire at that person. That block of ice will never melt. They will never thaw to you again. They will cut you off, and they are happy to do so. Once something is done, it is done. So let's touch on to the topic of sex now, because that is a topic within itself with this placement, and I'm sure you already know by now, but Scorpio is a very sexual sign. It is ruled by the genitals, and this is a Mars ruled sign. What does the symbol for Mars look like, and where is Mars in your chart, guys? That's an important thing to look at also when looking at your Venus sign and considering things like relationships. But Venus in Scorpio people are very sexually liberated people. They kind of celebrate sex in a way. It's a very important part of the relationship, how we relate to people. Venus, how we relate, one of the ways is through sex and intimacy, and I'm talking about serious intimacy here. And you can't really get more intimate, can you, than having sex with somebody and allowing somebody close to your body like that. But one thing I don't do over here is kink shame, But let's be real, this is a sign here where things might get a bit erotic, things might get a bit kinky, falling over into BDSM type vibes. You might like to be very domineering in the bedroom and take complete control of somebody, or vice versa, be completely dominated by somebody, because when taking part in, say, more kinkier acts, that requires a lot of trust. You have to have a high level of trust and intimacy to do certain things in the bedroom with somebody. And that is, again, something that we're looking to build for in a relationship, is just building that ability to be able to trust and be vulnerable and be open, because sex is an important thing for a Venus in Scorpio archetype. You guys might have a pretty high sex drive that other people kind of might find it hard to keep up with, a kind of insatiable, is that the right word? Insatiable. I think you know what I mean. Insatiable appetite when it comes to sex, because it's a form of an emotional release. It's a form of emotionally connecting. It's the deepest way to connect with somebody one-on-one, because there's also an element of magnetism that happens with the Scorpio archetype. People are attracted to the Scorpio archetype because it's sexy. So even if somebody's not necessarily the most physically attractive, what people might call attractive, but they just ooze a sexy aura, a sexy vibe. People wonder what it's like to have sex with people with this placement. People look at you and wonder what it's like to have sex with you. People stare at you because, as I just said, Scorpio has magnetic powers. We are adding in Venus, which is about attraction and attraction power. So putting that in Scorpio, people can just be attracted to you. You may have found in your life that you get stared at a lot, or it could be the other way around, where you might do a lot of staring. You know, you are quite intense. Venus and Scorpio people usually have pretty intense eyes, and when it comes to like aesthetics, say me for example, I love black and red. Black and red are my favourite colours to be in. But it's just, you know, just a sexy vibe that comes with it. A person that can have a lot of sex appeal, and that can be amazing and great when you're first entering into a relationship for the other person, who might be very, very attracted and can't get enough of the sexiness that can ooze from this sign. However, later on down the relationship, that same sex appeal that interested them in the first place can then become major causes of issues of jealousy, possession and control, because that person might realise, well, if I find you that attractive, what if this person finds you that attractive? And the panic can set in. Literally, we're talking about stalkers here, guys. You could have had stalkers in your life, or you could be the stalker yourself, because this is a sign that intensely watches and plans, and there is a level of, it can be quite a calculated sign. As I said, Scorpio moves with intent, it moves with caution, it moves with purpose. It's not doing things for no reason, especially when it comes to love and relationships. I'm just going to break down now and say a few words about each of the different sun sign and Venus sign combinations to give you guys a bit of a better understanding. So if you're a Virgo sun and your Venus is in Scorpio, then we are mixing earth with water. We are mixing mutable with fixed, and they are both feminine energies. So especially if you've got a feminine moon sign, for example, we are talking about a more feminine introverted archetype. Now, both archetypes are sensitive by nature, so we are dealing with a sensitive person here. Virgos are super observant, and so are Scorpios. Scorpios watch everything that's going on, so combining these two together, observant might be your middle name, literally, but this is going to be a person that moves with caution, because Scorpio is cautious and Virgo is still an earth sign, so isn't in a rush to just rush into things. You are very concerned with commitment here, Virgo, definitely. Being an earth sign deals with commitment, and we're talking about adding that in with the fixed element of Scorpio. This is somebody that would have an investigative nature, wanting to get to the bottom of things. Virgo is into the very little details of things and likes to get to the bottom of things, as does Scorpio, loves to get to the depths. And we are talking about, Virgo is a Mercury ruled sun sign, so we are talking about mixing the Mercury with the intuition of Scorpio. So you're very intuitive. You're probably aware by now that you've got a pretty strong gut instinct. Virgo is a sign that deals with improvement and making things better. Scorpio is a sign of transformation, so changing and things changing around you is something that you're probably quite familiar with, or something you believe in is the art of being able to transform. A meeting of minds is going to be needed here, an intellectual connection, because when somebody with this placement, when they've got a potential love interest, they're already studying, they're learning, they're watching, you probably already looked through all their socials, tried to find their birth chart, for example. These people have high ability to have endurance to learn something long term, because we're talking about Virgo. Mercury likes to learn, likes to think and communicate, mixed with the endurance of Scorpio, so really able to delve deep into topics. You'd probably prefer a more low-key person, not someone who's brash and loud, and you would be alarmed if somebody started spilling their secrets to you straight away, because you would instantly mistrust them. These are both signs, Virgo and Scorpio, that kind of can be skeptical and mistrusting, so that's why it takes you a while to build up and really trust somebody. You know, you need that reliability and consistency to show before you fully trust and open yourself up to them. Now, you also might be a little bit controlling here, because Scorpio is about control, Virgo is about meticulous details and plans, so you might prefer to be in the driving seat when it comes to relationships, but you are really dedicated to those you love. You love looking after your loved ones. You love to feel needed. You love to feel like you are changing somebody in some way, and you are all about healthy change and improvement. This is a combination that really needs to see reliability and consistency before you will unlock that Scorpio passion. If you're a Libra sun and your Venus is in Scorpio, this is going to be an interesting one to look at, because the sun is classed as being in its full in the sign of Libra, and Venus is the ruling planet of your sun sign, which is also in its full in Scorpio. So we are mixing air and water, we are mixing cardinal with fixed, and we are mixing male with female. We are literally mixing the sign of balance with the sign of chaos. This is usually going to be quite an attractive person. However, Libra is of course famously known for being attractive. Scorpio is known for being sexy, so this gives someone double attraction power here. With it being a male sun sign, in terms of the expression, you may feel more extroverted than some of the more introverted things I've spoken about with Venus in Scorpio, because you know typically Venus in Scorpio likes to watch and learn and sit back in the background and not be in the limelight, but as a Libra you still might be a little bit of a socialite, or maybe an antisocial socialite. So you've got that social side to you, but you've also got an introverted side too. Essentially, you may be able to be more rational, the air element, be more rational about the emotions, the water element of Scorpio. You might be able to be a bit more of a rational thinker, or be able to handle the deep emotions of Scorpio in a more rational, balanced way. Now, Libra can be sometimes described as a bit of a superficial placement, because it is about the aesthetics and looking good and looking pleasing. On the outside, you'd like to be pleasing and amenable, but deep down, when it comes, you are so serious about your relationships, and you've got this whole other side to you that people just might not know exists when they very first meet you. With this combination, you may be able to form really powerful connections, know people in high places. Libra is a socialite, it's the sign of connecting with others, and Scorpio is about power. I mean, when I think of roles like a high court judge, for example, this combination would be perfect. It'd be a perfect combination to deal with the seriousness of that role, and would also make amazing relationship counsellors, dealing with the sign of others and connecting with people with the depth of the emotion. There is potential here for some manipulative tendencies as well, just because Libra is so charming and so good with their words. It's an air sign, and we're mixing that with the tendencies of Scorpio that come with power and control. So, or to put it another way, you might be the masters of persuasion. If you're a Scorpio sun and your Venus is also in Scorpio, then this is going to be the most intense combination out of the 5 that I'm going to discuss, because we have double Scorpio, we have double water, double fixed, double feminine. Especially if you've got a feminine moon sign, then you're going to have a more introverted nature. But it's an interesting one to look at, because we are talking about the planet of the self, which is the sun, and we're also talking about the planet of others, which is Venus, and we are essentially mixing the self and identity with relationships, and any planet that's next to the sun will just completely amplify that energy anyway. So we have a super Scorpio Scorpio on our hands here, especially if you've got another placement sitting in the sign. You could be a Scorpio stellium. You might have your Mars in the sign, your Mercury. You might even be the Pluto Scorpio generation. So we are talking about someone who is secretive, somebody who is sensitive, somebody who understands about operating incognito, operating in the dark. Someone has an ability to bring the dark into the light. Somebody that has a more focused nature. This is a more serious individual that is completely driven by emotions. Emotions is something that they have to deal with in this lifetime on a deep basis. We are talking about someone who's very switched on here, someone who's very clever, especially when it comes to being intuitive. They are extremely intuitive and sensitive and receptive to other people's emotions, and they can just pick up things so easily. This is also a sign that trust and loyalty is everything to this combination. Trust and loyalty is everything. Do not betray these people. They detest deception in any way. They detest disloyalty. So, because you have to think about it, like with some combinations can be slightly more dangerous or could be more extreme than others. This is one of them. Why? Because this is a Mars-ruled Sun and Mars-ruled Venus person that we're talking about. Mars doesn't take any prisoners. If you corner Mars, if you put Mars into a corner, Mars is going to fight back. Scorpio will fight back to protect itself. So no matter how quiet and controlled and poised they may appear, do not underestimate the serious power that can lie within this placement, the serious extreme explosions that can actually sometimes happen from somebody who has this combination. Again, self-awareness is going to be key here. A more introverted person, yet stubborn, someone that moves with caution and intent, especially when it comes to love. When they have got a love interest, they're able to completely laser focus on that person. They will watch from afar and study and learn. You could deal with those topics of jealousy, obsession and control, maybe a more of a prominent theme here for you guys in your life, whether you're that way inclined or you're constantly attracting the people who are that way inclined. But they are intensely passionate and complex and complicated sometimes complicated people to understand, which is why they need someone who will give them the time and patience it will take for that person to reveal their true selves to somebody, because they will protect their vulnerabilities. As I've said, this is a sign that, this is a combination that will move with caution. This is going to be somebody that oozes sex appeal, just a super sexy person, probably got quite a high sex drive. And this is the definition of someone who cannot stand superficiality in any way. This is such an authentic combination and probably one of the most authentic people you will ever meet. If you're a Sagittarius sun and your Venus is in Scorpio, then first of all, hello, hi, because this is me. I have this combination. Anyone else on Aquarius moon out there, let me know in the comments. And we are mixing fire with water, mutable with fixed, and male with female. Sagittarius are known for being a little bit extreme and over the top themselves. Mixing that with Scorpios, who are all about being extreme. Sagittarius can be overindulgent. This is a Jupiter-ruled sun sign that we're talking about here, which is overindulgent. Venus represents where we might overindulge in our life. So putting these two together, extreme overindulgers, it could just be that whatever you like. You could be just extremely angry, extremely jealous, extremely generous, just all those words that you can think of to describe this combination, just adding the word extreme in front of it. Mixing fire and water in general can make for explosive reactions, and any fire sun sign can of course have a fiery expression. But with Sagittarius here, this is the mutable fire. It's not a containable fire. Leo is fixed, it can be contained. Aries is quick fire. Sagittarius is the mutable fire that can go on. And then you've got the endurance of Scorpio backing up the reaction. So reactions can sometimes be explosive and go too far. This is a combination where self-awareness is going to be key, because Sagittarius can go over the top. We've already said this, Sagittarius, you can go over the top anyway, but you have to be able to control it with your Venus and Scorpio placement, because sometimes, as I'm sure you guys probably know, Your eruptions might not always be the prettiest. This is an intuitive person as well, because fire is intuitive as well as water is intuitive. We are talking about the forever student here. So Sagittarius is love to explore and learn and broaden their mindset and broaden their horizons, and mixing that with the fixed ability and focused ability of Scorpio. You could easily become an expert in a field of knowledge. So interesting combination in the sense that Sagittarius can be a little bit illogical sometimes. It's not a sign I would relate with the most logical of people that exist out there, but mixing Scorpio in it means that logical topics can be contemplated in a logical way. There's a lot of depth that's needed. Sagittarius need to go deep. There's going to have to be a mental connection, a level of intellect here, a meeting of the minds, a connection of the minds, because Sagittarius love to learn, they love to share knowledge, and they love to learn from other people's experiences. And putting Scorpio into that gives them a lot of passion. This is a doubly passionate person. Fire is passionate as an element. Scorpio is passionate as hell. So mixing that together, we have a very passionate person. And again, self-awareness to sometimes control the passion and not let it go too far and say something that we don't mean, because Sagittarius don't have a filter. It's truth speaking, truth seeking. These are both signs that deal with the truth, the actual goddamn truth of things. This could even be somebody that kind of laughs at the wrong time, can find serious things funny, or bring the dark into the light, or being able just to have that Jupiter optimism to carry them through really dark, traumatic times. People with this placement might not come across when people first meet you as somebody that could be controlled in any way, shape or form because of the loud, bubbly, Sag energy that you are. But when it comes to relationships, you're very, very serious and you're very, very committed. Sagittarius love their freedom, but they will give up their freedom for somebody that they love. And also when you first meet someone, you might be a little bit more upfront about your line of questioning. You might not be so reserved or take as much time as a Scorpio sun would, for example. You might be like, hi, these are my issues, this is what I need in a relationship, can you do it or not? If you're a Capricorn sun and your Venus is in Scorpio, then we are mixing earth with water, cardinal with fixed, and they are both feminine energies. So especially if you've got a feminine moon sign, you're going to have a more feminine and introverted nature. We are mixing the influences of Saturn, Mars and Pluto here. They're all pretty serious planets. So this is a more serious person. This isn't someone that's about like tomfoolery in any way. This is not someone who's about time wasting in any way, shape or form. These are both signs that take commitment very seriously. So you're a very committed person. Once you commit to a relationship, for example, you are doing it literally with the intent for life. It's to be all and end all. A Saturn ruled sun sign person is someone you would describe usually as a little bit more detached in terms of emotions, especially in terms of the expression. But the Venus and Scorpio placement here for you guys will make you a much more passionate Capricorn. Yes, it's hidden. Again, it's not something your Capricorns don't show all their cards straight away. They're much cleverer than that. This person is likely to be a really hard worker. Capricorn's all about hard work. Scorpio is a fixed sign and it has endurance, it has endurability to go through things for the long haul. So you have the endurance to work really, really hard. Now you might be, as I said about the Virgo sun, Venus and Scorpio people, Capricorn sun, Venus and Scorpio people might be a little bit controlling by nature. Capricorn likes to be organised and in control. So does Scorpio. Scorpio likes to be in control. Both signs are also concerned with power. Power might be something that you're interested in. You like to feel power, or you're very aware of what makes you powerful. You may be able to knock heads with powerful people, hang around with people from higher circles, the elites. Secretly sensitive. Capricorn is the opposite sign to Cancer, so there is a sensitive side that exists. You just like to keep it hidden and prefer to appear controlled and poised and as if you've got all your shit together, even if behind the scenes there might be absolute chaos erupting around you. You are never going to outwardly express that to anybody. This is going to be somebody that's more serious about their reputation, how they're seen in the public light. They're going to take their career very seriously. They want to just be taken seriously. They don't want to be taken for a fool in any way, shape or form. And you need to know that if you're trying to get to know someone with this placement, they are very serious about they have a serious outlook on life. They take life seriously. They take love seriously. They take their time seriously. Somebody with this placement would really be able to bring to the light, the sun, taboo topics, Scorpio, in the public arena and be taken seriously. 10th house. You guys could really bring this, things like astrology. Astrology, for example, you can bring ancient astrology knowledge to the light in a serious manner where it's going to be taken seriously by the public. You've got a skill set to do that. But this is a tough cookie. This combination is a tough cookie. I'm just going to finish up now, guys, and quickly talk through progressions and transits because they are important things to look at. So progressions, where are you at in terms of your secondary progressions? They're very informative of where you're at in terms of your own inner world and your inner view of where things are for you now. Has your love language changed? Has your Venus progressed into Sagittarius, whereby you're not so obsessed with commitment and you want some more freedom? Has it even progressed further than that and is now already in Capricorn or Aquarius? All depends on your age right now when you're watching this. But have a look at your progressions. They're very, very enlightening. And transits are just another important thing to look at because, yes, the birth chart is such an important educational tool on who you are and what your life purpose is. A lot can be gleaned from that. But transits, the planets aren't where you were born. The planets have long moved on since then and doing much more things out there in the sky. So how are the planets transiting, interacting with your natal birth chart at the moment? It's so interesting to look at what transits are aspecting your natal Venus because they will give you more detailed stories to where you are right now in terms of your life. I'm going to leave it there, guys. If there's anything that I said that you liked or could relate to, then please drop me a like. And if you've got to this point of the video and you've enjoyed spending some time listening to me, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to grow here on YouTube and get through the algorithm. But coming up in my next video, we're going to be talking all about Venus and Sagittarius. So I'll see you then.